Righteousness as moral authority. When people believe that they are morally in the right, they attack the opposition as though they are an unquestionable authority, free to generalize in a republic of individual citizens. One rule fits all, and no one is above the law. These assertions seem to make the proponents feel like the good in a world of reprehensible degenerates and deviants. Our will to dominate others betrays our will for order rather than our will for the good of others. We only interfere with the actions and dealings of others when we feel ourselves in danger. In other words, when we impose our opinions and beliefs on others, it is because we fear chaos within ourselves. How often do we resent the very disobedience in others that we dare not break ourselves? Not only is the safety of obedience undermined, it becomes an authorized opinion, a necessary self-defense, a moral prison. We must oppose the liberty of others not to be as we are, and either convert them or condemn them in their corruption. Self-righteousness is a parasite that feeds on the uniqueness of others, leaving behind the skeleton of conformity. Righteousness is, properly speaking, an issue of conscience, the individual right to discern good and evil and to act accordingly. Martin Luther, the Protestant reformer, declared that the just shall live by faith, and on translating the entire Bible from the Latin to vernacular German, he brought each person who could read into a personalized relationship with God. This liberty had never been granted before, and it wasn't too long before divergent interpretations and beliefs brought about the trials of the heretics and witches and public burnings of those declared guilty. Many were beheaded for their faith, and the bloody wars of Protestants contra Catholics brought so much death and uncertainty that many refugees fled to the New World, the colonies in the Americas, Africa, and beyond into the Pacific Rim. It is a sad matter to comprehend the abysmal manner these refugees from persecution in Europe inflicted on the indigenous peoples, whose lands they seized for themselves, and their intolerant disrespect of their way of life, considering them to be heathens and savages. At the extreme edge of individuality, Henry VIII declared himself the absolute monarch of the realm and supreme head of the Church of England, a demigod on earth. The pleasure-loving French King Francis I, on being defeated by the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V in battle, joined his forces with Suleiman, the Islamic Sultan, to attack Christendom. To antidote these extremes of individual liberty, John Calvin, a lawyer and theologian who graduated at the Sorbonne University in Paris, expounded a doctrine of predestination that annulled the liberty of the individual, whether king or subject. God knows who is to be saved and who is to be damned. The whole matter is predetermined and has little to do with individual effort or devotion. We can never comprehend the ways of God. Thus, the laws of God are the Constitution, and all that is expected of the individual is strict conformity, or severe punishments are inflicted on the sinner. The male elders make up the governing body and judges of human affairs. The Calvinistic tendency to make one law fit all with no exceptions is the origin of the Puritan strain of conservatism in the modern world, the right to make laws that are imposed on all citizens. In this context, the discrimination against homosexuals, contraception and abortion are the most popular causes to prosecute with the higher virtue of righteousness. The imposing of one's own belief over all others of divergent faith or custom without meeting, knowing, or even acknowledging their existence is taken to be a proof of their virtue. This is their obedience to God's law, therefore nothing else matters. And so they have turned God into the prosecutor and themselves into his police force, his law enforcement agents in denial of love. It all comes down to the cause of righteousness as the moral authority and power to restrict the rights of others to their own innate conscience with regard to their actions, needs, and wishes in this world. The fascist and totalitarian states also allow for no individuality of conscience or deviation from the rule book of duty.